This past year, I've been doing a lot of behavioral therapy, of all kinds, like new agey shit and more classic psychology stuff, and reading a lot about it. And what I've learned to about myself, what I've discovered about myself, obviously I can't talk for you or for other people, but for me, for some reason, life became um, about control, meaning that I feel great when I feel in control, and I feel bad, terrible, anxious, paranoid when I'm not in control. And the feeling of control stems from several different things, but can also come from like mostly like from really, really unexpected stuff too. Like if for many years I didn't understand why it bothered me so much when I would like have an argument with somebody or didn't see eye to eye with somebody about something, and I would literally be paranoid about the whole situation, and I would strive to make up as quickly as I can.
Hmm.
Well, I've learned that it's because having, knowing in the back of my mind that there's somebody who doesn't like me out there, who might potentially hurt me in some
Hmm.
way, be it by bad mouthing me or doing something to trip me over. That made me lose a sense of control. But if I was on great terms with everybody, if I knew that people liked me, that made me feel like I have control because these people wouldn't hurt me. It actually stems from childhood, growing up in Ukraine, where if somebody didn't like you, they actually wanted to kick your ass, and they would actually and literally try and wait for you somewhere. Like they would like wait for you at the entrance to your building one day when you're least expecting, so they can kick your ass.
Oh,
There's been lots of instances in my hometown when somebody would have a business dispute with somebody over money, and then over the news you'd hear something like that such and such person was stabbed in the hallway of their condo building, at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, and all of their money was stolen, blah, 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 blah. Like that was actual thing.
yeah.
So I'm coming to realize that growing up, I've had all these experiences that made me want to have a sense of control and sense of safety. And I think to the same extent, it is becoming an entrepreneur and being my own boss that gives me such satisfaction and pleasure and a sense of control. Anytime I feel that I don't have control, I actually lose my shit. Like in a way where I lose a sense of calmness. I would start being kind of panicky and start making irrational moves. So anytime I feel pressured or being told what to do, same thing. It makes me feel like I'm being forced to do something I don't want. Therefore, I don't have control. Therefore, things are really, really bad. And again, I could lose sleep at night over stuff like that. So, for the same reason, I couldn't stick too long in the army. I
True.
graduated a military academy, but I couldn't really do the army much longer after that because I guess personality is finally formed, and it's like again I'm being told what to do by idiots who tell me when I can go home, and when I can do this, when can I eat. Like I lived a life where I was told where to walk, how to walk there, when to eat, when to stop eating, when to rest, when to stop resting, when to clean my room, and when to I'm supposed to finish, when to go to bed, when to brush my teeth, when to wake up, etc. So living a life where I had zero control, which on one hand is safety because you don't really have any responsibilities besides executing orders, but on the other hand, you also have zero control.
Hmm.
I see jobs as the same thing. Somebody's telling you when to come, when to go on vacation, when to come from vacation, how much money you're supposed to be making, what's your value. And I think being an entrepreneur is so much better because of all the freedom you get.
Yeah, that I completely agree. It sounds like you've, I mean, all your need for control comes from a very valid place. Um, but the last thing you said actually really hit home. It was frustrating in my work that no matter how hard you worked or how well you performed, you get the same paycheck every month. And like it just doesn't seem right. It's not motivational. And, I saw in myself the effort tailed off as, I started to realize that versus here, the better you do, the higher you perform, the more money's coming in. And that is very motivating.
Yo, it's Igor. I want you to have my Amazon best-selling book for free for taking the time to listen to my podcast and to watch my YouTube videos. Now, I'm not only going to give you this book for free, but I'm going to throw in about $3,200 in free bonuses. Now, if you want to get this book, please click the link in the description, or you can also go to igorsbook.com. And now, back to the podcast. It could be worse though, because you could be bringing in more value, and not only they don't actually show your worth to them by raising your pay, but you could be kind of given more work because you're the one doing the work.
True.
You know, I remember working for about 3 to 4 weeks or so. I had the experience of working at Motorola, because back where I used to live, they had a facility where they used to make these FedEx devices. You know, like when the FedEx person shows up at your door and they
Oh,
give
you
you
sign the
the
thing.
parcel. Yeah, you have to like
Yeah.
use the digital pencil to sign it. So these devices used to be made in a town where I lived. And my mom used to work there, and they had a program where a parent could invite one of their kids to work for 3 to 4 weeks or so. And it's a state of the art facility. It was very clean. It was very professional. It was like it's just a very good facility. And for my mom, that was a dream job, because she's actually from that generation that wanted stability, that wanted to be told when to come, when to go, and get paid a stable paycheck. Of course, she later got fired, and I ended up retiring her, and that's a whole other story. But working there was this guy. His name was Safi, and so this guy, he was great at looking busy. Okay. He was insanely good at just looking busy. And I got to sort of follow him around for a couple of days because there was nothing for me to do. So I kind of stuck to him, and I sort of ghosted him, you know, like I was like his tail. And he was always going somewhere, coming from somewhere, carrying something
Yeah.
to some other place, talking to people, you know, asking questions and looking busy. But he never actually done anything at all. He wasn't assigned to any stations. He didn't produce any devices. Nothing. Nothing. But it was such an educational experience because I never really resonated with that.
Hmm.
Like for me, looking busy but not productive, just so my boss doesn't yell at me, it did not make any sense. I've always wanted to provide value. I've always wanted to create progress and results. I've always wanted to have some sense of direction in what I do. I wanted to have a sense of meaning because many things growing up seemed meaningless to me.
Hmm.
So you know, and so the reason I bring him up is because he got an equal paycheck to anyone else who actually worked hard and produced value. And that's my problem with the system, because
Yeah.
you can actually get away doing that.
Once in a while, I do fantasize about the days when I wasn't like held to high accountability and the output, wasn't reliant, or the income wasn't reliant on the output. Say like once or twice a week when I'm feeling really just run down by the amount of work I've been doing. But
Yeah.
I could never actually go back to that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And the other thing about being an entrepreneur and coming up with your own work schedule and coming up with your own to-do list and setting your own goals is that your business will challenge you in many different ways. And even if you don't feel like working, you will oftentimes not have the opportunity to look busy, because at the end of the day, the results will show. The numbers won't lie. And the bigger your business grows, obviously, the more you'll have to manage it by the numbers. I mean, I had a point in my business now where I manage it quite literally by the numbers. So I look at the numbers at the end of the month or during the week or whatnot, and I'm like, okay, where are the sales? What are the refunds? Where we're at here? Where, podcast downloads, webinar attendance. So like everything is governed by the numbers, and if the numbers don't show a good picture, this is when I ask the question of the team members who are responsible of that department, or I have to ask questions of myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to look in the mirror and actually say, look, this is not looking good, and this is not looking good, and you've dropped the ball over here, and you didn't pay attention to this thing, and all of a sudden you get this sense of urgency to go and improve things.
Yeah, I feel like it's. I mean, I'm chasing last month's numbers. That's always what I'm after, um, and usually like it, I mean, I have to often remind myself that last month's numbers were more than I needed, and because every like if I was making per month today what I or this month what I made a year ago this month, I would be devastated. But a year ago, that seemed like an incredible feat to accomplish. Um, yeah, it's a weird mind game, and when you're an entrepreneur too, you do lack that stability, which is ridiculous because anyone could get laid off at any point in time. But a full time job sometimes feels stable, whereas like I feel the need to say yes to everything I can, jump on every opportunity because you just think, what if this goes away one day?
Yeah, there's always that fear, and that fear never goes away. And I think it's a good thing. A little bit of fear will always keep us on our toes.
Yeah,
But it's funny you mentioned that, because having a sense of security with your job is, it's misleading, right? Because like you said, you can be fired at any moment. Plus, the potential of where you can grow is highly, highly limited. And it reminds me of the same sort of um, misleading sort of point of view that is created when a guy decides he wants to get married, because that basically means free sex for the rest of his life. Well, what they don't know, right, is as a married man, I will tell you that that is the most expensive sex you will ever have in your life, right? So, so in the same way, having a job, even though it seems like a stable thing, it's really just an illusion. And but I think I want to say this: having a job is not in and of itself a bad thing. I think having started jobs and having a job while you're building your side hustle, I think still it's pretty good to have, because it gives you a sense of stability
yeah.
and calmness when you can build your stuff.